What's going on? Welcome back to the channel. So today we're going to talk to you about NIO. They just had their earnings. I want to go over some of the data points and some key things that you need to be aware of. Before we get into any of that, make sure you guys hit that thumbs up. And with that, let's get right to it. So NIO is down slightly, 0.31%, 606 the low, 650 the high. During the pre-market, you did have this push lower to roughly around 526. So absolute crazy day. So give yourself a shout out if you did manage to buy this at like 5 a.m. But today we're seeing a lot of volume. So 81.09 million shares being traded, 81.01 is the average. And from what we can see from both the secondary market and also dark pool is most of that volume is actually coming from institutions trading it. So that's kind of a good thing. Based on the secondary market, somewhat evenly divided based on buying and selling. But ultimately, the market was digesting a couple of different things. One was August's numbers, which in my opinion were fairly positive, but NIO's earnings. So I just went through their actual transcripts and there was a lot of good things that was stated here. So to start off, I made some notes. So Q3 delivery guidance. So they did guide between 87 to 91,000 units. So that is an increase of just shy of about 41%. Q4 targets 50,000 a month. So this is one thing that the market loves to hear and most likely is one of the main reasons why NIO stock price is recovering. But I do want to add a asterisk only because NIO has always done these kind of ambitious targets. The moral of the story is NIO needs to execute. It needs to hit these targets. If not, then you can't really blame NIO stock price on going down on anything other than management, in my opinion. Revenue did go up 9% year over year. Margins, for the most part, this earnings was relatively flat, but Q4, they did mention that gross vehicle margins are expected to be between that 16 to 17%, and the L90 and ES8 is going to be roughly around 20%. So again, very ambitious targets. And if true, then NIO stock price will really move up quite aggressively. Also for Q4, what was projected is break even, so non-GAAP break even. So that's kind of again, something that a lot of companies do strive for initially. And that in among itself, as I've mentioned, should be a natural deterrent for shorts, because typically once companies hit full profitability, that's where shorts just kind of leave, and that's usually for good. But nonetheless, though, that's some of the key things. Of course, they did bring up how for upcoming models, there's going to be the L80, ES9, ES7. So a lot of big things, but that's kind of the moral of the story. So like I said, I think, yes, NIO did lose a fair amount of money that people already were assuming was going to happen. But luckily enough, they did give a lot of big milestones and targets for the next couple quarters that the market took and ran with. As of right now, there hasn't been any new analyst ratings. I do anticipate probably a couple throughout the day getting posted, as well as in the next couple trading days. But all in all, that's basically the good summarization of their earnings. Aside from that, shorts are increasing 1.79 million shares, so not doing all that much in reality. 11.44% of the free floats being shorted, works out to be 176.45 million shares overall being shorted. Cost to borrow is kind of on the low end though, so something just to keep in mind. But DTC 2.86 days, so that does signal that shorts are rather overextended. From a options standpoint, so you do have 47% of all the options being done today bearish in nature. Kind of subtract the first 1 hour. I feel like right now then it would be more oriented towards the bulls, but 8.48 million in calls, 2.28 in puts. So like I said, something to keep in mind. Net premiums is going down 377,000. And this is something I've kind of mentioned over the last couple of videos, is just that options do signal just more kind of hesitation, and some of that could have been associated to their earnings, but nonetheless, from a bull standpoint, you see a consensus for it to be roughly around that 7 to 750 by the end of this week, and then the bears are anticipating for it to be sub kind of 550 to 6. So given where we are at, there's a lot more upside, but still does signal that there is some hesitation and that more pullback potentially could happen. Aside from all of that though, with it right now at 637, it is trading between this R1 and the pivot. I'm looking at the 1-day chart on a side note. So these are very strong support and resistance points. So 680 is going to be the next strong target, and then 586 is going to be that next strong support. Of course, during the pre-market, it did break temporarily below that, but as far as today is concerned, throughout the actual trading day, it's kind of staying within this range, so this R1 and pivot. Aside from that, moving over to the 4-hour, so let's say you're wanting to day trade or swing trade, with it at 637 between this pivot and this S1. So 614 and 643 is going to be the next strong target / resistance points in that regard. Aside from all of that fun stuff, quickly popping over here, like I said, no new analyst ratings, but anticipate a good about 6 or 7 new ratings to come out. Aside from that though, you see, looking at the flow, a enormous amount of buying going on. So you do have that gap, of course. So if you do believe in like the gap needs to be filled and whatever else, then yes, essentially there could be a pullback to that 550. But as far as right now, as the market's digesting their numbers, so August numbers and also their earnings, then essentially you see a lot more buying. So let me know your viewpoint on that. Flow, on a side note, does also signal a lot of good buying happening as well. So you can see that from here. So extra large transactions really increasing. Overall, that is going down, and I think some of that has to do with just algorithmic trading. But like I said, I feel NIO definitely is worthwhile. So what's your viewpoint on that? One thing to take note of though, Hong Kong exchange did go down 3.59%. So that does work out to be 354. Still goes to show that there's a little bit of a lag essentially, but nonetheless, what's your viewpoint on NIO's earnings? Are you bullish? Are you bearish? Do you think that they were, as what they like to say, dangling a carrot in front of investors, giving a lot of high expectations and hope? Or do you think that they are actually going to hit these targets at the end of the day? What's your general thoughts? Don't forget to hit that thumbs up and subscribe. I always greatly appreciate that. And then one final thing, pop over to my Patreon if you're looking for some solid buy signals on stocks, options, crypto, many of which have been absolutely on point. Worthwhile to pop over there and take a look. With all that said, appreciate all of you watching.